risks everything to save pregnant Lioness from hyena pack. The outcome will leave you breathless in the heart of Kenya's Tsavo East National Park, where a merciless drought has scorched the grasslands into an endless, deadly desert, and water is nothing but a fated dream. A patrol team of rangers stumbled upon a gut-wrenching scene. Beside the cracked, bone-dry bed of a vanished stream, a lioness lay gasping for life. Her skeletal frame barely held together, her clouded eyes flickered like a dying ember. But it was her swollen belly that froze them in their tracks. Is she pregnant? The question sliced through the suffocating heat like a blade. How could they save her and the fragile lives trembling inside her from the jaws of death? With no time to lose, the Rangers radioed Dr. James Carter, a 45-year-old American veterinarian who'd spent decades battling to save wildlife at the Tsavo Rescue Station. A lioness, barely breathing, showing signs of pregnancy. The ranger's voice crackled over the radio, quivering like the faint pulse of the dying beast. Without a second's hesitation, Dr. Carter sped to the scene with emergency medical gear, his heart hammering in his chest, knowing every fleeting moment dragged them closer to doom. When he arrived, he dropped to his knees beside her, naming her Asha, in that instant a silent oath to pull her back from the edge of death. Her ribs jutted out beneath paper-thin skin, her breath shallow as the last sigh before a storm. Yet, as his hand brushed her trembling flank, a faint spark flared in Asha's eyes, a wordless cry. "Save me! Save my cubs! I won't give up on you!" "Doctor," Carter whispered, his voice thick with emotion, resolve blazing in every word. But danger doesn't pause for promises. A chilling growl rolled in from the horizon, icy as the call of the grave. A pack of hyenas emerged, their hungry eyes glinting, claws razor-sharp, closing in to rip Asha and her unborn cubs apart. Dr. Carter leapt up, clutching his defense stick, his gaze burning like a torch against the encroaching dark. Can one man stand against a pack of savage beasts to shield this fragile life? This wasn't just a clash with nature's brutality, it was a war between hope and despair, compassion and fate's cold cruelty. The next moments would decide it all: life or death, redemption or ruin. Tension choked the air as Dr. Carter and the Rangers knelt beside Asha, scrambling to administer first aid. The sun blazed down without mercy, but cold sweat still beaded on their brows. Asha lay motionless, her ragged breaths punctuated by oozing wounds. Dr. Carter checked her pulse with care, his hand shaking as he readied an adrenaline shot. Then, a bone-rattling growl erupted from the nearby brittle brush, snapping the team's heads around in alarm. From the shadows of the thicket, more than a dozen hyenas slunk forward. Their eyes gleamed with ravenous greed, nostrils flaring at the scent of blood and weakness. "They're here," a ranger shouted, his hand flying to his gun. Dr. Carter's pulse raced. He knew this pack wouldn't surrender their prize without a fight. "Use rubber bullets, drive them back," the head ranger barked. Shots rang out, rubber rounds zipping through the air, striking several hyenas. They yelped and recoiled, but only for a moment. The pack snarled, edging closer. Sirens screamed, flares exploded into blinding bursts above. Yet the hyena's bloodlust only grew fiercer. Dr. Carter rose, planting himself as a living wall before Asha. His grip tightened on the defense stick, his stare unyielding. "Keep them away from her," he roared, voice trembling with adrenaline. Meanwhile, the Rangers hustled to hoist Asha onto a rescue stretcher, but her limp, heavy body dragged like a boulder, slowing every desperate move. The hyenas lunged. One sprang from the side, aiming for the stretcher. Dr. Carter swung his stick with all his strength, cracking it against the beast's skull, forcing it to let go. The Rangers kept firing rubber bullets and blasting pepper spray, holding the pack at bay. After a grueling standoff, the hyenas finally retreated, their growls fading into the distance. But the victory came at a cost. One ranger took a bite to the arm, a shallow gash bleeding freely. He clenched his teeth, wrapping it fast. Asha was loaded onto the jeep, Dr. Carter leaping in beside her, still gripping his stick. Eyes locked on the hyenas skulking far off, the jeep tore away, kicking up a storm of dust as the engine's roar drowned out the pack's lingering threats. At the veterinary station, Asha remained still, but her breathing steadied slightly. Dr. Carter let out a shaky breath of relief, though he knew the fight was far from over. Inside the station, nestled deep in Kenya's wilds, harsh sunlight streamed through the tin roof, casting stark light on Asha's emaciated form sprawled across the exam table. Dr. Carter, hands roughened by years under the blistering sun, gently pressed the ultrasound probe to her belly. The machine buzzed, steady as her faint gasps. Then the screen flickered, and the image that appeared made the cramped, stifling room fall silent with held breath. 3 tiny shapes glowed in Asha's womb, but the fleeting hope shattered as Dr. Carter saw only to hearts beating faint, sluggish, like candles flickering in a gale. The third lay still, lifeless. "She's carrying 3 cubs," he rasped, voice raw with feeling. "But one's already gone. Malnutrition's taken its toll, the other 2 are hanging by a thread." Asha's too weak to keep going. A heavy silence gripped the room. A young nurse, eyes brimming red, broke it. "What can we do, doctor? Doctor?" Carter drew a deep breath, scanning the anxious faces around him. The drought had bled the station dry, food was scarce, water precious, medicine rationed to the direst cases. Yet, as he met Asha's closed eyes, a fire surged in his chest. "We'll save her," he said, firm as stone. "Whatever it takes." The team swapped wary glances. "But doctor," a technician ventured, voice small, "we don't have enough. If we fail, Asha and the cubs could all die." Dr. Carter nodded, facing the brutal truth. Still, he stood unshaken. "I know. But if we do nothing, they're dead for sure. Asha deserves a shot, and I won't abandon her." The choice was sealed, a pact between him and the lioness clinging to life. The next 3 days were a relentless duel with death. Asha lay motionless on the hospital bed, her body reduced to a husk, her breaths fragile as a thread about to snap. She couldn't eat, not the freshest meat, not the richest bone broth scraped together from their dwindling stores. Dr. Carter turned to for fluids and nutrients to keep her alive, but it was a fleeting fix. Without eating, she'd never muster the strength to sustain her cubs. He tried everything. Tiny morsels of meat were laid by her muzzle with gentle pleas. "Eat, Asha. You've got to try for your cubs." She'd twitch her lips, then turn away, her dull eyes drowning in exhaustion. Undeterred, Dr. Carter offered bone broth, wild herb scents lions crave, even sat by her side for hours, humming lullabies from his childhood. His warm voice rang through the station's dark, a lifeline amid the drought's desolation. But Asha's struggle wasn't the only battle. The park management piled on pressure. One morning, the phone shrilled, and the director's icy voice cut through. "Carter, you're squandering resources on a lost cause. Food's scarce, water's low, let nature run its course." "Doctor." Carter's fist clenched, eyes blazing. "Nature brought her to us." He shot back, steel in his tone. "And I won't let her die without a fight." He slammed the receiver down, turning to Asha with a whisper, "Hold on, girl. I believe in you." Each night, as the team slept, Dr. Carter stayed by her side, stroking her coarse fur. Moonlight slipped through the roof's cracks, lighting his tired, steadfast face. He spun tales of past rescues, animals snatched from death's grip. "You'll be one of them," he vowed, voice breaking. "I swear it." These hours weren't just a fight for Asha's life, they were proof of Dr. Carter's unshakable faith. That even in the blackest void, a spark of hope waits to flare. The air in the cramped station hung thick, like a storm ready to burst. Asha's labored wheezes beat a desperate rhythm, each one a plea. Dr. Carter stood over her, hands trembling as he adjusted the ultrasound on her matted fur. The dim flashlight, overhead through shadows, tracing the ribs straining beneath her skin. The machine hummed, and the screen's image seized his heart. 3 small forms, but only to twitch faintly, clinging to life. The third was still. A harsh sentence. "One cub's already lost," he said, voice rough, nearly breaking. The team, Sarah, the young assistant, and Kofi, the seasoned ranger, stood mute, their eyes pooling with dread and powerlessness. Dr. Carter inhaled sharply, fighting for calm. "The other 2 are fading," he pressed on, locked on the screen. "Their heartbeats are slowing, and Asha, she's got nothing left." He stepped back, swiping sweat from his brow. The weight crushed him like a hidden stone. He knew inaction meant death for Asha and her cubs, but action, emergency surgery, was a deadly roll of the dice. Dr. Carter paced back and forth in the cramped space, the sound of his boots echoing on the hard-packed dirt floor. His mind raced, a storm of conflicting thoughts colliding violently. Surgery could save the 2 remaining cubs, but Asha was already so weak. Her chest rose and fell in slow, labored breaths, her once piercing eyes now clouded, devoid of the fierce light of a proud predator. Here, in the middle of the desolate savannah, they lacked the modern equipment needed for such a delicate procedure. Just a few basic tools, an old anesthesia machine, and an unreliable generator for power. If the surgery failed, Asha would die on the operating table, and the cubs wouldn't stand a chance without her. Sarah interrupted his spiraling thoughts. Dr. Carter, should we try the surgery? It's the only chance those 2 little ones have. Her voice trembled, her eyes shimmering with a mix of hope and fear. He turned to her, sensing the innocence behind her words. Sarah, if we operate, Asha might not make it. She's already exhausted. And if we lose her, the cubs won't survive either. We don't have the resources to hand-raise them here. Kofi, his voice deep and steady, cut in. But if we do nothing, all 3 will die. Surgery at least gives us a shot. Dr. Carter nodded, but his gaze drifted back to Asha. In that moment, he noticed something, a faint glimmer in her eyes, a stubborn will still smoldering beneath her frail body. He recalled the time she had fought through illness before, the way she roared with defiance even when injured. Could he trust that strength one more time? After a long internal struggle, Dr. Carter stopped pacing, took a deep breath, and spoke. With newfound resolve, we won't operate. Asha has overcome so much to get this far. I believe she can do it. We'll boost her nutrition and support her as much as we can. Murmurs rippled through the team. Some agreed, others doubted, but they respected his decision. It was a huge gamble, and he knew it. But instead of reaching for the scalpel, he chose to trust in the lioness's fierce will to live. Without wasting a second, he sprang into action. He adjusted the drip, increasing the flow of nutrients into Asha's depleted body, and mixed in a special blend of vitamins to stimulate her immune system. Then an idea sparked. Kofi, he called, can you grab some fresh meat and grill it nearby? The smell might awaken her instincts. Kofi nodded and hurried off. Soon, the savory aroma of roasting meat filled the air, mingling with the dry, earthy scent of the savannah. Dr. Carter stood watch over Asha, hoping for a miracle. 2 days passed in agonizing suspense. Dr. Carter barely slept, constantly checking Asha's vital signs and whispering words of encouragement. Hang in there, girl. I know you've got this. Each hour felt like a test of endurance. But Asha didn't worsen. That was the only sign keeping his hope alive. On the morning of the 7th day, the miracle unfolded. As Dr. Carter brought a small piece of meat close to her, Asha's nose twitched, her eyes widened slightly, and she tilted her head toward the scent. He held his breath, hardly daring to believe it. Then, slowly, Asha extended her tongue and licked the meat. It was a tiny gesture, but to him, it was a monumental victory. Throughout the day, she continued to lick and nibble at the meat. By evening, Asha was eating larger chunks, her eyes gradually regaining their shine. Dr. Carter ran another ultrasound. The 2 remaining cubs had stabilized, their heartbeats stronger, and they were even starting to move, when Asha let out a soft growl, her first sound in over a week. Dr. Carter couldn't hold back his emotions. He knelt beside her, tears streaming down his face, gently stroking her rough fur. I knew it. Asha, you're incredible. The team gathered around, smiles breaking across their faces. They had witnessed something extraordinary, a testament to the power of life and unwavering faith. Asha, the resilient lioness, had defied death, carrying hope for the tiny lives within her. 2 weeks after Asha was rescued from the brink, a gentle rain began to fall, tapping softly on the tin roof of the veterinary station nestled in the heart of Kenya's savannah. It was as if nature itself was playing a lullaby to welcome new life. Inside, the dim glow of a lantern cast shadows over Dr. Carter and his team, who had worked tirelessly to keep hope alive for Asha, the brave lioness. Asha lay on a thick blanket, her golden eyes half closed, her breathing steady but still fragile. Dr. Carter, his hands strong yet gentle, sat beside her, ready to assist. Sarah, his assistant, held a flashlight, its pale beam illuminating Asha's mottled fur, while Kofi, the experienced ranger, stood in the corner, his sharp eyes tracking every movement. As the contractions began, tension filled the room. The patter of rain outside blended with Asha's heavy breaths, creating a symphony of life and struggle. After hours that stretched like days, two tiny, wet, trembling cubs entered the world. Dr. Carter quickly cleaned them, checking their heartbeats and breathing with practiced precision. "They're healthy," he whispered, his voice breaking with emotion. But the joy was bittersweet. As expected from earlier ultrasounds, the third cub had not survived. A quiet stillness settled over the room, a silent tribute to the little one, who never got to see the light. Dr. Carter and the team stood there, their hearts a mix of overwhelming joy for the two healthy cubs and quiet sorrow for the loss. They named the newborns Keto, meaning life, a symbol of the strength they'd shown to be born, and Sana, meaning hope, a reminder of the days the team refused to give up. These names weren't just labels, they were a vow, a testament to the journey they'd all endured. In the most beautiful moment of that night, as Asha began to lick her cubs clean, she lifted her head and locked eyes with Dr. Carter. Though weary, her gaze sparkled with a gentle, profound light. It wasn't just the look of a wild animal, it was the look of a mother who knew she and her cubs had been saved. Warmth spread through Dr. Carter's chest. He smiled softly, nodding to her in silent acknowledgement. "You did it, Asha. We did it together." 3 months passed like a breeze across the plains. Asha, once frail and fading, had regained her strength. Her golden coat gleamed under the sun, and her every step exuded the grace of a true predator. Keto and Sana grew quickly, playful and full of life. They chased each other across the grass, practiced their tiny roars, and began to tap into the wild instincts coursing through their veins. Under Dr. Carter's guidance, the ranger team started preparing Asha and her cubs for their return to the wild. It wasn't easy. They took the family to safe areas near the station, letting them get used to the wind's howl, the scent of the earth, and the taste of freedom they would soon fully embrace each day. Asha grew more confident in leading her cubs, while Keto and Sana learned to hunt small prey provided by the rangers. The day of farewell finally arrived. In the early morning, as dawn painted the savannah gold, Dr. Carter stood before the release pen, his hand resting on the latch. He looked at Asha, Keto, and Sana, his heart heavy yet swelling with pride. "It's time for you to go home," he said, his voice trembling with emotion. He unlatched the gate, and it swung open, revealing the vast expanse of the savannah. Asha stepped out first, her movements fluid and purposeful. Keto and Sana trotted behind, pausing to sniff the air, savoring their first true taste of freedom. They bounded and played in the grass, their soft growls a greeting to the wide world. Dr. Carter stood still, his eyes never leaving them, feeling both a hollow ache and a quiet joy as they began their real lives. Then, unexpectedly, Asha stopped. She turned her head, her golden eyes meeting Dr. Carter's. In that moment, bathed in the soft light of dawn, it was as if she was saying goodbye, a final thank you, a look that transcended the boundary between human and beast. Dr. Carter froze, overwhelmed by the deep connection they had forged through months of hardship. Asha flicked her tail one last time, then led Keto and Sana toward the horizon, their silhouettes blending into the endless green of the plains. Dr. Carter lingered there long after they had vanished from sight. He knew Asha and her cubs would thrive, that they belonged here where life and death intertwined, where each day was a battle, but also a song of perseverance and compassion. In his heart, a quiet reflection took root. We can't save them all, but every life we do save is a testament to the power of hope, to nature's endless cycle, and to the meaning of never giving up. The story ends, but the journey of Asha, Keto, and Sana has only just begun, a journey of freedom, strength, and wholeness in the embrace of the wild. How did this story make you feel? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to subscribe to Animal Kissa for more incredible stories. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.